was 99 or 2000 when the Adventure Cycling Association actually completed the route for, that was actually went from the northern border in Roosevelt, Montana, all the way to Antelope Wells, New Mexico, which is right on the Mexican border and follows the Continental Divide. And it was like 2000, 2001. I think John Stamstead, who's kind of an ultra endurance legend, completed that route in a solo, what's called ITT or time trial fashion, in, gosh, I think it was 18 or 19 days. And then you had guys like Matthew Lee that started doing it, and you had more and more people that it grew from. I think up until probably 3, 4, 5 years ago, maybe, you know, it was something that a dozen people would do a year, and then like last year, I think it was right under 70 or right around 70 people attempted it, and about half finished, which seems to be the normal amount. And then distance-wise, it's 2,745 miles. Then that includes a Canadian section that Matthew Lee added, and 20+ thousand feet of climb across the whole route. I was an ultra runner for a few years, you know, trying to find something that challenged oneself not only physically but spiritually, I guess, and was looking for something longer and harder, and stumbled across the Tour Divide probably 4 or 5 years ago. And then the movie Ride the Divide came out, and we brought them to town to actually do a showing of it. And you know, for things like that, it's you know, there's a calling, I guess, when you start to endeavor to figure out what it will take to get yourself, you know, through something like this. Two different perspectives on this. One is what one thinks one can do to prepare, and then once you've done a piece of it like I have, what one realizes one can do to prepare for it. Ultimately, there is absolutely nothing you can do to train for the Tour Divide other than knowing how to navigate and knowing how to feed yourself, because there's just no way to begin to comprehend riding your mountain bike 120+ miles a day, 3 weeks at a time, you know, and navigating and the challenges associated on how your body is going to react to that. I had really bad saddle sores that were about that big on the inside of each of my thighs, that resulted from 2 nights in a row. So it was probably I think it was day 3 and day 4, night 3 and night 4. Those are big days, over 120-mile days. Rained a lot, and pulled in, found a spot to camp, pulled in. It was late, you know, it was like around midnight when I stopped, so it was, you know, in the low 30s. And so in those times, even at that temp, kind of the protocol was stop, rip out the sleeping bag as fast as you can, get in the sleeping bag, and then start stripping down and get out of your sweaty clothes. Well, both of those nights I'd fallen asleep with some piece of food in my mouth and my shorts still on, and wake up 4 hours later and it's time to go again. So doing that 2 nights in a row, not getting the shorts off to be able to dry out and all that, I think probably caused the saddle sores. And then going into Butte, so right before the Outdoorsman, which is Rob Leipheimer and Levi Leipheimer's brother's bike shop, front wheel got stuck in some mud, and I wrecked and burst one of the saddle sores that was incredibly painful. One of the most painful things I've ever felt in my life. And I worked through it for a couple days, but it was too much. One piece of advice to try the Tour Divide is to do it. You know, if you think you want to do it, you don't have to, you know, finish the whole thing. And the reason I've actually told that to a lot of people that have talked to me about it, and the reason I say that is because you really can't even begin to comprehend what it means to do something like that. Take 3 days, 4 days, you know, whatever you can carve out and get on the route. You know, go to Colorado, or you know, some parts of it that's easy for relatively easy for you to get to and try it, you know, because that's the only way that you're really going to determine, one, if you want to do it, and two, you know, all the things that you're going to need in order to